yeah, like there is a lot to talk about. I mean, obviously, like we're gonna talk about the Giants and them getting their biggest win in 11 years. That was pretty damn awesome. Yeah, like we got aided by the refs, and we had lots of good action in Week 16 in general. Like one of the more fun, action packed weeks of football. Just like in recent memory, very historical, honestly. Like between just a lot of games that I'm gonna get into later. Uh, Bowl mania is starting to get in the swings. That's right. We're in the middle of bowl season for college football. The really, really good bowls are probably going to start and creep up upon us next week. And especially, the college football playoff is just a little over a week away. New Year's Eve. So you feel about how the games are New Year's Eve. I think it's kind of dumb. But whatever. I have my plans. I'll be watching that game with my friends. We have, the World Cup ended. We had probably the best soccer match of all time, definitely the best I've ever seen. And MLB free agency season, there's a lot going on there. I think there was a small little signing in MLB free agency this morning that was just a little bit surprising that we'll talk about. And we're in the NBA. And I guess I actually have some. I usually said the NBA doesn't start until before Christmas, or the NBA doesn't really start until Christmas. But we actually do have a little bit of NBA for you to talk about. But first thing we got to go into, we're going to lead off. We're going to talk about those New York football Giants beating the Washington Commanders on Sunday Night Football. And yeah, I have no issue saying that. That was the biggest regular season win since 2011, Week 17 against the Cowboys. And, Sunday Night Football. I mean, it's certainly something about being on Sunday Night Football. Hearing that Sunday Night Football theme song when your team's on it, when your team has a big game, just fires you up, just motivates you. And like I was like, I literally was waiting all day for Sunday night. And oh man, what a win! Look, I'm not gonna sit here and act like the refs definitely didn't give us a lot of calls, but in the end, a win's a win. I don't care. We go to 8-5-1, and now like the playoffs are really within reach for the Giants, and I'm in shock. I'm in happiness. I never really even thought that we'd be this. Never thought we'd be sniffing 8 wins. To be honest, like I thought we'd for sure have a losing record, and here we are, at least 8-1. Uh, I mean, definitely like just 8-1. Like that's the worst this thing can do. This team can do. I mean, I would have been. I mean, if you told me 500 before the year started, I would have. I would have been confused about that tie. But regardless, if you told me 8 wins, I would never, ever have believed you. And look, the refs. You've been telling me one about the refs, and Steve, I see your comment here. But that line of scrimmage, we have to talk about it. And the way we dominate, it all starts up front with Kayvon Thibodeau. This was the first game the Giants had their foursome healthy together of Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, and Leonard Williams. And when the Giants were dominant, we were dominant on a dominant pass rush back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And man, like just having those four together, you could tell how much of a difference it made. The Giants overwhelmed Washington's offensive line. Like Kayvon Thibodeau, everyone said, "Oh, this guy's lazy. This guy's not a team player. He doesn't like football." Oh man, if he doesn't like football, then I want to see how good he would be if he really did love football, because he was a beast against Washington. Literally in the backfield, every play. Like the plays Kayvon Thibodeau was missing were on read options plays where he was just powering through the offensive line to get after the Heineke or to get after whoever was or the running back, and it was either a keeper, the running back was keeping the ball. Like those were the only plays Kayvon was missing, were option plays. Other than that, like he was an absolute beast. He was just like I couldn't believe what I saw Kayvon Thibodeau doing. Like this was a guy who, I'll be honest, I was not the highest on Kayvon coming into the draft. When the Giants drafted him, you know, I was a little high on him when he got drafted by the Giants. But like, he won Defensive Player of the Week, and he was just wreaking havoc. Like, he had the strip sack that ended up resulting in a touchdown, which the Giants really needed because that was one of the Giants' 2 touchdowns they had this game. They had one drive, which I'm gonna talk about a little later, but other than that drive, like, the defense had to do all the effort. That was the only touchdown they scored this game. Um, and I mean, God, Kayvon just I can't believe how good he was. Last time we played the Commanders, Azeez Ojulari was really good. Last week against Philly, it was a horrible, horrible game, but Ojulari was a bright spot. This week it was Kayvon. We have our scary edge rushing duo, both of them on rookie contracts. I'm really excited to see what Aziz and what Kayvon can do for this Giants team if they're healthy. I mean, Dexter Lawrence, sexy Dexy, just continues to be a beast inside. Just for his size, they continue to be a guy who went from being just a two-down defensive end to a two-down defensive lineman to a legitimate good pass rusher, a guy who he helps a lot of other guys get sacks. Ryder Anderson had a sack. I never really heard of this guy until I think last week, but Dexter Lawrence helped him get a sack. And overall, like the secondary too, it wasn't bad. Last time we played the Commanders, the secondary was missing tackles. On the Terry touchdown, on the Jahan Dotson touchdown, they were broken tackles. This game, the secondary wasn't having as many missed tackles. You know, uh, Terry didn't do much in the first half. They had that drive, the first drive of the second half, where the Commanders just kept feeding Terry the ball, and it felt like, ooh, is that their game plan? Is that gonna hurt us a bit now? Is Terry just gonna take over this game and the Commanders gonna win? Uh, but they didn't really do that. In fact, they let Jahan Dotson beat them more. And this was definitely a bit of a bend, don't break game because the Commanders definitely got some big plays, especially in the running game. And Brian Robinson, I think, had like over 7 yards a carry. The only thing was when they were down, they weren't able to stick to it as much. But like whoever was Gibson, even Heineke on some keepers, Robinson, they were running the ball pretty effectively against the Giants. I was pretty surprised to see them get away from there. A lot of questionable play calling on Ron Rivera's decision and Scott Turner's decision, but like, hey, Giants, here we are, 8-5-1, led by that defense. Now the offense did some things, or actually, one thing the offense didn't do, we did not allow a sack. I literally could not remember the last time I watched a Giants football game where the offensive line did not allow a sack. This offensive line has been abysmal for 6, 7, 8 years now, and they didn't allow a sack. And look, the first half, Evan Neal struggled a bit, where the only plays that he wasn't really allowing sacks were penalties. But in the second half, he played a lot better. Andrew Thomas continues to be Andrew Thomas and one of the best left tackles in football. And look, we've seen the Giants sometimes when the offensive line struggles, they do a lot of guard rotation. And in this game, the offensive line wasn't struggling much, but they were rotating Bretterson, who's just coming back from a knee injury, and Nick Gateson at left guard. Both guys played pretty well. Now, honestly, what I'd like to see, I'd love for them to keep Bretterson at left guard and start subbing in Gates and Feliciano at center. Because Feliciano, he has his issues. Although, again, like Feliciano Glowinski played a great game against the Commanders, and like it's very rare that the Giants can win 2 games. They'll win the game of the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Now with their their defensive, their pass rushers fully healthy, maybe they can start winning that on that side more. But it's really hard to win on that. Really hard to win on that side when your offensive line is already not very good, and it just lets the other defensive line just expose you. But man, just I can't remember last time I've seen this team actually look this good in the trenches. I'm trying to think what else there was to take away from the offensive line. Offensive line, the receivers, they are what they are. Isaiah Hodgins and Richie James were fine. Both of them made big catches when we needed. And Saquon Barkley, man, like he looked a little bit back. He wasn't he wasn't like the same explosive guy that we saw like rushing for like 120 yards early in the season, but he still has the explosiveness. He had that nice ankle breaking move. He had that nice run on the touchdown on the Wildcat, which capped off a 97-yard drive. And that 97-yard drive, that is the best drive I have seen from the Giants in a long time. The only drive this season that rivals that is the game-winning drive against Tennessee, and you could probably say, that was the best drive of the season. But like, I do not know the last time I have seen the Giants go drive the length of the field to score a touchdown, pretty much. I mean, this is an offense that's been inept for the better part of like 3, 4 years now. Just been pathetic. But this team, they did it. They went for it on 4th and 9. This was the previous possession. We punted. We had a questionable punting call on 4th and 3. But here we went for it on 4th and 9. We got it. And the Giants, I mean that drive alone, that drive was definitely the best drive of the season. It was very well called by Mike Kafka, by Brian Dable, and that drive ended up really being the big difference in the game because it allowed us to establish that 14-3 lead, which we never relinquished. Just I mean, Dable and Kafka, that was what we saw early in the season. That was what made me fall in love with the two as a head coach. We've seen the offense get a little predictable, a little more stale here in recent weeks, but that kept the Washington defense off its feet, kept them, a little confused. It wasn't even just the play. I mean, there was the play action bootleg, but it wasn't just the play action bootleg where it felt like for a while, if we were running play action, that was all we were running. And I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy with this team right now. Really happy to be 8-5-1. I mean, all we need next week. Look, we win. Go Giants. It's going to be a tough week next week. I mean, Adoree Jackson is still out. Fabian Monroe against Justin Jefferson. Ooh, man, that is not going to be fun. That is definitely not going to be fun. But hey, like we've, I thought there was a lot of games that weren't going to be fun this year that have ended up being closer than I thought. And plus, the Giants and Vikings are both allergic to playing blowouts. So, yeah, like go Giants next week against the Vikings, and if we win, go Panthers, beat the Lions, go Niners, beat the Commies, go Chiefs, beat the Seahawks. Giants, you win, two of those three teams lose, we're in the postseason. I was just about the Vikings, and the Vikings can't play blowouts. They really cannot play blowouts. I mean, this was a team that was down 33-0. And we witnessed NFL history, people. The Vikings had the largest comeback in NFL history, down 33-0. And are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, this was look, when they got down, I think 17-0, I almost live bet them. Again, do I live bet this team 17-0? It's the Vikings. They play all these close games. And I don't. I'm glad I don't. It's 33-0 at the half. And at 33-0, me, who's like, oh, NFL's on. I'm watching the NFL over anything. NFL is king. I turned that game off. Saturday there was just so many sports on. You had third place game, Morocco versus Croatia. You had college basketball, Ohio State, UNC. You had just, bowl games going on all day. Lots of other good college basketball games on all day. UVA, Houston. So there was so much. So I tuned out of that game. And all of a sudden, Minnesota makes it a 3-possession game. It's like 36-14. And at 36-14, I actually go to try to live bet this game. And all I'm seeing is, live spreads. No live money lines yet. So I'm like, whatever, Vikings plus 18.5 when it's 36-14. I kind of like that. I take it. And then Minnesota all of a sudden scores again. And I'm like, me and a couple of my friends are like, I think the Vikings are going to win this game. So then we all go Vikings money line, and the Minnesota Vikings, they end up winning. They end up covering 18.5. They end up helping me win my parlay that I had before the game. They end up coming back from 33-0. Just like, what an unbelievable comeback. And that just every game they're in, every game the Minnesota Vikings play is just somehow crazy and entertaining. This team doesn't play boring games. They have not blown out one opponent. I think they've gotten blown out by the Eagles and Cowboys. That's it. But like, they're entertaining the Vikings. Like, Dalvin Cook was pretty electric on that touchdown. That first play by Dalvin Cook was so electric to tie this game, and it's like, holy shit! Like, how did the Colts just blow this lead? I mean, there's just like tanking going on in front of our very eyes. Like maybe it's almost seeing, okay, Jeff Saturday, maybe Jeff Saturday is not a bad coach. He can coach the team up to a 33-0 lead, but now it's time to tank. Like, maybe there's already some sort of agreement there for Saturday to tank, lose out, win the one game so the hire doesn't look as bad, and then have him tank. So when it was up 33-0, or they said, hey, blow this lead or you're fired. Because I really don't know how. Because other than that, like, a blown 33-0 lead How? How do you do that? That just it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. Like I feel sorry for Colts fans. Like Matt Ryan, that poor dude, just put him in a fucking nursing home already. Like he deserves it. You know, like he is old. He's washed up. This is that dude. Like he belongs living with Hector Salamanca in a nursing home. He's old. He's washed. And this is a guy. Yeah, Matt Ryan was one of my favorite players to watch. Throughout the last 15 years, however long he's been playing. He's washed. It's time to move on. Time to move on, Indy. And let's see. There's gonna be plenty of guys available for Indy to get next year for them to all of a sudden suck and hit a wall. I mean, Derek Carr, Jared Goff, both those guys seem like ideal Colts QBs. Maybe Aaron Rodgers becomes available. The Colts get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers hits that wall that he's sort of already hit this year. I mean, just the Colts. Who knows what they're gonna do? Is send Matt Ryan, either send him to a retirement home or old Yeller him. Vikings, congrats! You won the NFC North. No, so when the Vikings were losing that game, it became, oh, could the Lions win the NFC North? Look, the Lions. First off, Jets. Why Jets? We needed you to win. Like, the Giants. When do we ever ask you guys for favors? We asked you guys for this favor against the Lions one time, and you blow it. You blow it. I mean, this vaunted Jets defense that's been playing so good all year that stopped Jared Goff, that was limiting Jared Goff all year, or no, that limited Jared Goff all game. They give up that touchdown on 4th and 1 to Brock Wright. Brock Wright literally sounds like a name that you would get as a Madden auto-generated rookie. And you let this guy torch you for a long touchdown to beat you. And from there, it was just like, Jets aren't going to win this. You knew the Jets weren't going to win that game. Zach Wilson, he made an unbelievable throw on that drive, like a couple actually unbelievable throws on that drive to try to come back. And credit to Zach Wilson, he did do some things on that drive, made some throws on that drive to try to lead the Jets to come back. Unfortunately, like Zach Wilson just also missed a lot of throws and showed why that he got benched for Mike White. Although anyone who knows anything about Mike White knows he's not as good as his cousin Angela at what he does. She's better. Little joke there for the people. I hope the listeners will appreciate that little joke right there. That Angela White is better than Mike White. Like Jets, big loss for them. They fall down to 7-7. And how about that? I saw something. I saw something that said that saw a stat that was, oh, on this day the Jets beat the Rams to get their first win, and that means they weren't available for Trevor Lawrence. And now they go now Trevor Lawrence is coming to face the Jets. And I'm going to talk about Trevor Lawrence in a little here. I have one more game I want to get to before I get to Trevor Lawrence. But like God, just imagine this Jets team. If they just lost those games, if they got Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball to Garrett Wilson, Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, CJ Uzoma handing the ball off to whoever they were handing the ball off to, backed by that defense. I mean, Trevor Lawrence easily wins this game for the Jets. But now, because they beat the Rams, they're stuck with Zach Wilson. They're stuck with Mike White, the lesser, much worse than Angela White, as we've said. They're stuck with the corpse of Joe Flacco and a damn good roster. Because, I mean, this Jets team is like a quarterback away, I think, from being a really, really good team. And it is crazy to think, like, if they had not beaten the Rams, if they had not beaten the Browns, 2 years ago, they might be one of the best teams in the AFC right now with Trevor Lawrence at the helm and that roster, especially if Breece Hall was healthy. Just, man, like, what things could have been for the Jets had they. That's one of those times where it shows, oh, winning meaningless games sucks, and people at that time were mad, and now it might look even worse for them that the fact that Trevor Lawrence looks like a legit superstar and Zach Wilson looks like doo doo. Yep. Again, I'm going to get into Trevor Lawrence later. I want to touch on these Lions. Like, how about them Lions, man? This team was 1-6. They were dead in the water. People thought Dan Campbell would be fired because what do the Lions do? They just fire coaches pretty fast. Although Matt Patricia lasted way too long, and it seemed like, oh look, everyone loves Dan Campbell, but how long is this shit gonna last? Where now all of a sudden the Detroit Lions are sitting at 7-7 and playing some of the best football in the NFC. Look, people People love to hate on Jared Goff. Jared Goff right now is playing football at an extremely high level. Like everyone's saying, oh, he's a system quarterback. He's a system quarterback. And, that might be true. But the Lions have put a lot around him for him to succeed. And look, Jared Goff, he's not a bad quarterback. Look, he's not a quarterback that's going to elevate your offense, but he's a quarterback. You put the pieces around him, he's going to succeed. You've seen the Lions are doing that. The Lions have one of the best, if not the best, offensive line of football. Multiple guys who could be candidates for the Pro Bowl, the All Pro, pretty much all along the line. They have one of the best young receivers in Amon-Ra St. Brown. You see, since he's come back, DJ Chark has had a nice repertoire with Jared Goff. Jamison Williams, I think we know is going to be a superstar. He's already taken the tops off defenses a couple times. The duo Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, like Jared Goff is a big reason for the Rams' success. And look, he's not elevating this team, but he's a good quarterback. And the Lions, excuse me, I know I just said the Rams, have put him in the prime position to succeed. And this is a guy who people like the meme on. But now the Lions, like, their schedule's so easy with the Panthers, the Bears, and the Packers. Like, there's a good chance that they can go 3-0, win out, and get in at 10-7. Who would have said that when they were 1-6? They could go winning 9 of their last 10 games. Just incredible. We're talking about crazy endings. I mean, this is just a week of crazy endings. I want to get into Patriots Raiders. I mean, first off, I was on Patriots money line, so I was kind of sick to my stomach when those refs, when apparently having like a bunch part of your foot out on the white line, I guess now counts as inbounds according to those refs, because me and Patriots fans and Patriots bettors everywhere were robbed. We were violently robbed. It was sickening what those NFL refs did to us. I mean, blatantly out of bounds, and yet they call it a touchdown. I don't see how in this world of review, it is 2022, going to be 2023 in 10 days, and yet we can't get plays right in review. It's insane. It's asinine to me that you review that play and you still blow the call. And then it's asinine to me that in a tie game, when you're playing for overtime, you're throwing a backwards lateral. I mean, Jacoby Myers, does he have CTE or something? Like, they need to investigate his brain or something. I can't believe he did that. Like, this is a loss that the Patriots never, ever, ever, ever lose games. The Patriots had seen their rivals, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Bills, lose games like this for years. This is a game that teams like the Giants have lost in recent years. This is a game that teams like the Browns have lost throughout the years. Not the Patriots, and just a sign. It's like a sign. It really, really is done for the Patriots. Steve, that's a good comment. Myers got a better arm than Mac Jones, low key. It's not wrong. I mean, look, another thing too, like these are not those same Patriots. The Patriots, they never lose games that way. And I think we all know that. Yeah, it's not the same Patriots team, obviously without Tom Brady. This is just like it's not that good of it's just not a good team. I mean, the Patriot way, the Patriot day when this was a team that was good, competing for Super Bowls. Belichick is cutting Jacoby Myers the next day. Jacoby Myers is not seeing the field the next game, but because he's the number one receiver, because their roster is already not that good, he's on the team. Like this loss feels like the official Patriots are done marker. I could sound stupid here. The Patriots, could just be back. They have a bunch of cap space in the offseason, but I feel like right now, like, Pats are done. Like, that's just we'll see how the tape looks like next year in the offseason. Patriots just sign a bunch of guys. If Mac Jones is even the QB next year, because Mac Jones, he has just not been the guy. He is last year was everything went right. I actually am going to say something that Big Cat said on part of my take. Last year looked like Mac Jones was the only rookie QB who was put in a good situation. That's why he thrived. Now it looks to be in the worst situation of any of those QBs. Just like how fast a year turns. And for the Raiders, like, congrats on winning. I guess I guess the more you win, the more likely it is that McDaniels is going to be back. Although it was likely that McDaniels was going to be back regardless because, like, was Gruden really going to pay another coach? And then the last game I really want to talk about, the Jaguars versus the Cowboys. And, like, you know, you guys know me. I love, 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 love to mock the Cowboys and can laugh and mock them and go and say, "Oh, what a choke job by the Cowboys losing to the Jaguars." And, like, look, the Jaguars. I've said the Jaguars were a frisky team. They are more than just a frisky team. They are actually a team that is playing really good football right now. Look, that loss is less on Dallas choking than more what it is on Trevor Lawrence really becoming an elite quarterback. Look, everyone should forget about Trevor. After his rookie year, he had an awful rookie year, was in an awful situation with Urban Meyer and that toxic environment that he built with really no receivers. Now he's playing in Doug Peterson's system. He has decent receivers in Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, and he's playing a lot better. I mean, in the last 6 games, the Jaguars are 4-2, 14 touchdowns, one interception. We are seeing why Trevor Lawrence was the most hyped up quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. Everybody forgot about that. Everybody forgot how hyped up Trevor Lawrence was as a prospect coming into the NFL, and now we're seeing that. Like whether the Jaguars end up win the AFC South or not, the season remains to be seen. But they have to be thrilled because they have their franchise quarterback. They have a superstar in the making, and don't forget that they're getting Calvin Ridley back next year. I mean, the ceiling for Jacksonville right now is through the roof. I mean, he gets better week in and week out. Trevor Lawrence. Every week he's impressed me. Look, I am I am not a Trevor Lawrence fan because of I'm mad about the college football playoff. That's right. I still hold that against Trevor Lawrence. Uh, I don't. Then I was never not a fan of his game. My dislike of him goes towards college and the rivalry. Blah blah blah. And I've grown to appreciate. I've grown appreciation watching him play football this year. I know he's a great quarterback. I know he was going to be a great prospect, and just like everyone thought that he was going to be. Everyone, was he really going to be a bust? He didn't get off to that a hot start this year. Uh, I mean, he got off to like a slow start, but the Jags were sort of good at like 2-1. Then they had that losing streak, and it was all right. Like, we're really worried about Trevor here. But man, no, I mean he is he's gonna be a superstar right up there with the Joe Burrows, right up there with the Mahomes, right up there with the Allens, Tom Brady in his prime. Like, I truly think that I think right now you're seeing a clear top three. That's Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow. And I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna be right up there alongside with them. Probably Justin Herbert's. I'd say Justin Herbert's a tad below that. Justin Herbert's below that tier to me until he wins a playoff game or at least makes the playoffs this year. But he's playing himself. He's playing himself back into that tier now with the Chargers being healthy. Trevor Lawrence, I think by next year he's going to be in that tier as one of those as a top 5 QB. He is that nice, and this Jacksonville team. Look, they nearly went to a Super Bowl. They should have went to a Super Bowl with Blake Bortles at QB. What was the recipe to that team? They had a decent receiving core. They had a pretty good running game. They had a good offensive line. They had an elite defense that was predicated upon two elite edge rushers in Ngakoue and Calais Campbell back then. Well, look, this now they have Trevor Lawrence, who's a legit quarterback. They have receivers Zay Jones and Christian Kirk playing at a high level, who realistically are number 2 and number 3 receivers, and will be that when they get Calvin Ridley back next year. They have a good offensive line. Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker could be what and Ngakoue and Calais Campbell years ago. Tyson Campbell is having a fantastic, underrated season at cornerback this year. I'm not saying that the Jaguars' defense is going to be as good as it was in 2018, but if the Jaguars team had built a defense that's top 10, top 15 with Trevor Lawrence, with Doug Peterson, I truly think that the Jacksonville Jaguars could be a Super Bowl contender within the next 2 to 3 years. I think they're doing a great job building this roster. agree, Steve. The rest of the secondary needs work. You guys still need another corner. You still need some safety. But Doug Peterson, he's building something. You have your quarterback. Look, in today's NFL, I feel like there are a lot of guys in the NFL, but there are very few guys who you could say are the guy who are a spot on franchise quarterback. And like again, for me it's Allen, Herbert, Mahomes, Burrow, and Trevor Lawrence right now. I mean, those are the only five young quarterbacks you can definitively say in the NFL are franchise quarterbacks. This doesn't include like veterans, Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, whoever. And this isn't even me with my bias looking at Jalen Hurts. I still think you need to see a little bit from Jalen Hurts to say he's a franchise quarterback. Lamar, I think Lamar is in that tier. I think Lamar is also in that tier, but we'll see what happens with Lamar and the Ravens as well. So I guess that's six, and yeah, that's six franchise quarterbacks in the NFL. So that's it. We'll touch on other things from the week. Uh, I mentioned the Chargers. They beat the Titans. A big step to the playoffs. Now that the Chargers are getting healthy, they're looking a lot better. You know, you could see the difference in Herbert's play when he has Allen and Mike Williams there than when he didn't, and it was Josh Palmer being the number one receiver. He's definitely silencing the critics and the doubters, which I'll be honest, I was part of that. Let's see, we had the Bills over the Dolphins in a game, which I'll be honest, Saturday night was an eventful night for me, so I missed most of that game. When I last saw the Bills are winning, and when I saw the final score, the Bills had a comeback, so I did not even know that they had to come back to win that game. Uh, let's see what else was there. The Eagles survive. I mean, Miles Sanders, I hate that guy. The dude did nothing for my fantasy team. The dude did nothing for FanDuel, and he has the audacity to tweet, "I don't care about your fantasy team." I mean, he's always been on my hate list, Miles Sanders, but he definitely moved himself up my athlete hate list. I'm not a fan of that guy. Not a fan of that guy or his team or his college. And then there's the NFC South. I mean, the Falcons lost to the Saints and Desmond Ritter, who looks like doo-doo Desmond in his first start. Panthers lost to the Steelers. Bengals beat the Bucks after getting down 17-0, and the Bucks just offense looked bad. And the NFC South, man, it's bad. It's really bad. So I think this has probably been my last podcast of the year. Of the 2022, not 2023. So I'll give my last NFL playoff predictions. How they're changing. I mean, so in the AFC, the Bills, the Chiefs have already locked up their spots. I think it's safe to say that the Bengals and Ravens are probably going to make it. Although I have the Ravens winning the AFC North. I think the Jaguars are going to end up winning the AFC South, coming back, finishing that winning streak, beating the Titans in Week 18. They clinch that division. And I think the Chargers and the Dolphins can be those wild card spots. I mean, it feels like that's the playoffs that we're looking at in the AFC. It's going to be kind of hard for anyone else to sneak in there. As for the NFC, I think we're going to get. I mean, the Vikings have already won the NFC North. The Niners have already won the NFC West. The Bucks, process of elimination, are going to win the NFC South. And I still think we're getting the whole rest of the NFC East in there. The Giants were on the precipice of the playoffs. Really, just one more win, and we should be in there. Eagles and Cowboys are already in. And I think the Commanders, they still have that lead. I think they'll have that same record as Seattle, as Detroit, and we get all four NFC East teams in the playoffs. Because when they had this, and I said they'll have the same record. They'll have the same record the rest of the way, and maintain their half game lead, and end up getting that last wild card spot. So we have an interesting playoff, and we're back. We're back on the Niners bandwagon. So we went from the Bucks to the Niners, back to the Bucks, and now we're back on the Niners. And I'm still saying Niners over Bills in the Super Bowl. Quick touch on what I want to do is Week 16 picks. Week 16 picks, and I guess I can also say some lines I like from Week 16. I mean, it's still very, very early. Jaguars, Jets. Along with Steve, in the comments. Steve, thanks for listening. We'll both be in MetLife Stadium to watch the Jaguars take on the Jets. I have the Jaguars winning that game. I have the Bills going to Chicago, beating the Bears. Although, could be a sneaky game. I could see the Bears, being frisky and covering that spread. Uh, then we also have the Browns hosting the Saints. I never, ever, ever, ever trust the Saints going outside. So yeah, give me the Browns to win that game. I think they can cover 2.5. I mean, the over under in that game is 32.5, which is just crazy. Like, wow, I'm probably not. I'm not going to touch that over under. Titans with Malik Willis at QB are -3 against the Texans. I still think that they win that game because the Texans stink and they have Malik Willis already won a game in Houston. But yeah, that's a game to stay away from. Kansas City, they're 10-point favorites against Seattle. I love, love, love the over in that game, over 49, and the Chiefs to win. We have the Bengals with 3.5-point favorites against the Patriots. I like the Pats to cover that, but I think the Bengals win. This feels a lot like Belichick on the Cincinnati. Lions, 2.5-point favorites against the Panthers. I'm not betting that game because we need the Panthers to win as a Giants fan. But I think the Lions end up winning that game and covering. Ravens, 7-point favorites. They'll beat the Falcons. Desmond Ritter stinks, whether Lamar plays or not. San Fran will beat Washington. I think Washington might cover 7, though. Philly will beat Dallas. Even with Gardner Minshew, I think that Philly roster is so good. I think Minshew, he'll fit in perfectly with that great line, those great receivers. They beat Dallas. They obviously end up covering the 4.5-point spread. Pittsburgh, I have them beating Vegas. Miami, I have them beating Green Bay. The Rams beating Denver, and which should be a snoozer of a game. That game's on Christmas. Yeah, that's probably when you want to do your Christmas meal and doing presents because who wants to watch that game? And the Bucks, they'll beat the Cardinals in Arizona. The Bucks stink, so I'd maybe take the Cardinals 7.5. I mean, oh man, that's Sunday Night Football. Bucks. Oh God, the Christmas Day games stink. And then the Chargers will beat the Colts Monday Night Football to clinch their playoffs. So that's it. That's really it for talking NFL. World Cup. World Cup, man. That game, that final. I mean, I think without a doubt that's the best soccer match I've watched ever. That final, and I think that there's a really good chance that is the best soccer match of all time. It was incredible. How the everything about it. Like, there's obviously you take context, the championship. You have the storylines. Mbappe going for the first player, or Mbappe looking to win back-to-back championships at age 23 or age 20, age 23. Messi looking to capture his first World Cup, the only thing missing from his GOAT legacy. And then just like how close it was, they're up 2-0. Then all of a sudden, France scores the 2 goals in a minute and a half. Like when Mbappe scored that second goal, that was probably one of the loudest I've ever screamed watching a sporting event at my TV. Just in shock about what I witnessed. I literally screamed, "What the fuck? What the actual fuck did I just see? What the fuck just happened?" Literally in shock for like 5 whole minutes. Because I was in disbelief, utter disbelief over that game. And then you see, 2 goals scored in the extra time by both teams. You saw at the end of regulation, Messi nearly hit that shot from way outside the box. If he hits that, that's the greatest shot in soccer history, the greatest moment in soccer history. Everything taken into account for. Everything about like going to the PKs, the extra. It was so intense, so thrilling, and you have to be happy for Lionel Messi. Look, my dad's from Brazil. I rooted for Brazil after the U.S. got out. Brazil and Argentina have that rivalry. Even then, I had to root for Argentina just because how could you not be happy for Lionel Messi? He is the GOAT. He is, just like what he's done for soccer is just incredible. At his size, there's no one who is more shifty, no one who is more naturally skilled with a ball on their feet than Lionel Messi. Is just everything he does it's incredible. And now, he had all these accolades, all these Champions League accolades, Ballon d'Ors, and now he has a World Cup that he can finally add to it. It's special. This Argentina team was special. The save by their goalie at the end of the second extra time period was just incredible. A world-class save. And that's that party. What a celebration. You literally had people jumping off the bridge onto the party bus. But those Argentinians, they knew how to party. They knew how to celebrate. Congrats, Argentina, on your World Cup, and just overall a great World Cup. Like it really, Qatar has their issues being Qatar and that, but it was a lots of upsets. Japan, Germany not making it for the second time. Japan, South Korea, Morocco. I mean, Morocco got fourth place. I mean, beating Spain, beating Portugal, beating Belgium. What a story they were, Morocco. One of the best Cinderellas in recent tournament memory. And it's just been, I mean, it really was a special World Cup. I'm excited to have it here in the US. And pretty soon we'll come back and we'll have our EPL. So I mentioned Bowl Mania is here. It's been pretty fun. It's been a lot going on. No, again, I never know who's opting in, who's opting out. I don't really do my research till the day of. This isn't the same. I used to do betting every bowl game the last 2 years. Don't really feel like doing that. Boss, there's some lines I saw that caught my eye. I love UCF +3 in the Military Bowl against Duke. The Jayhawks +3 against the Razorbacks in the Liberty Bowl. Oregon UNC going to over 73.5 in the Holiday Bowl just because why not? That's fun. I have Washington, the Alamo Bowl. I forget who they're playing, but I have them +4. Orange Bowl, Tennessee, Clemson. Even without a Hendon Hooker, I still like Tennessee +6. I have Bama -6 in the Sugar Bowl against Kansas State. USC -2.5 in the Cotton Bowl against Tulane. And Utah -2.5 in the Rose Bowl against Penn State. And that's really it for whatever it's called, Bowl Mania. Gonna quick things now, I guess, to touch on MLB free agency. Aaron Judge, we touched on him re-signing last episode. Since then, the Yankees signed Carlos Rodon. Today was Judge's press conference. He's officially named the captain. First captain since Jeter. Well-deserved. Love Aaron Judge. So, I mean, this is a guy who deserves. I think I said he was probably going to be named captain. I figured he'd be. I actually was a little late to the news because I'd been grinding at work. My phone was on Do Not Disturb. Saw the text, caught up on the tweets, saw all the tweets. Oh, Jeter's here. I wonder what that means. Like, they pretty much gave it away well before the press conference. And, yeah, Judge is the captain. Rodon's a Yankee. And still need a little more. I'd love a left fielder. Benintendi's gone, left fielder of the White Sox, who gave him a bag. I don't know if I would have given Benintendi that much money. You had the kid from Korea, I think, or one of the Asian countries going to the Red Sox. Right now, that left field, it looks like the starting left fielder would be Oswaldo Cabrera. Don't love that. Don't want. Yeah, I want us to get Brian Reynolds. Apparently, the asking price is really high. Who knows? Like, we'll see. No, I would have brought Benintendi back for that money if the Yankees want to be the Yankees and spend the money. But I guess they haven't been. The Mets are, though. Like, I mean, well, then I didn't talk about the Mets. Holy shit. Their payroll is short of their payroll is now short of just short of $400 million. What they've done this offseason is insane. Verlander, Brandon Nimmo, Edwin Diaz, a few other bullpen guys. The Japanese pitcher, I forget his name. Jose Quintina even for a decent price. Carlos Correa. And now all those guys are at the Mets. I mean, Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen is saying, I don't care. I am spending all this money. I have that money to spend, and I'm going to spend it. He does not give a shit. He is flexing his balls. He is flexing his wealth, and he is literally doing what he can to help the Mets buy a championship and build a championship roster. And I look like, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, Yankees, blah, blah, blah. This affects the Yankees. Look, that shouldn't affect the Yankees. The Mets play in a different league. We play them 4 times a year. This doesn't make us the little brothers. Doesn't mean we take a backseat to them. Because guess what? Oh, the Mets won the offseason last offseason. You're our little brother. Yeah, no, Yankees are taking a backseat COVID year. You're our little brother. You guys have been winning the off seasons without actually winning the seasons. Look, if you want to be New York's team, man, you have to win and establish a winning tradition. Now look, now so everyone's saying, "Oh, Yankees are done. Yankees are in shambles." This literally is not. I mean, the Yankees were never getting Correa. Now I would have loved if they actually would, and they'd play him at third base over the corpse of, over that fuck Josh Donaldson. But it was never going to happen. Either we go in Correa, Turner, someone else to play third, or one of those guys to play short, or we put one of our prospects at third. It's whatever. Uh, but for the Yankees, I will say the one thing is they can they can spend the money the Mets are. They just choose not to. And with the Yankees, for them, it's a misallocation of resources, putting those funds towards guys like Josh Donaldson and Aaron Hicks. Uh, Look at me, because right now, like Judge, Stanton, Cole, Bader, Peraza, Shelby Locks to be on the roster. DJ's going to be on the roster. I'd love if DJ could be a utility guy rather than starting at second or third. I don't know. I don't know what I want. I don't know what's. I mean, it's still December. There's still times. There's still moves to be made. I mean, at this point, no free agent is going to come in for the Yankees and be that over the top wow signing. I wouldn't mind getting another reliever. I wouldn't mind getting another. I still wouldn't mind. If we were able to get Conforto for cheap as a left fielder, just for 1 year. No more than 1 year for Conforto, though. Would be my. That's like I don't think the Yankees will get more than 1 year for him either. So there's the Conforto thing. Or trade for Brian Reynolds. Hopefully, it won't cost us Peraza, Volpe, or Dominguez, but get Reynolds and just do something Yankee like. Uh, Either way, like I'm excited for the season. I mean, that's what the Mets have done. The Mets should be the odds-on World Series favorites, and credit to them. Carlos Correa, it's a little sketchy. Oh, failed the physical. If he failed the physical right after it came out, the Mets offered him a contract, and then he signs with the Mets. Like there's something fishy about it. But Steve Cohen flexing his balls. It's what everyone used. It's what I imagine George Steinbrenner used to do. That's really it. Last thing I want to say: Knicks. The New York Knicks have won 8 in a row. Now I know the NBA does not start until Christmas, but an 8-game winning streak for the Knicks, playing some really great basketball, while Evan Fournier is not seeing the court. That's right, that loser is not seeing the court in over a month. And it's what I've said all along. Evan Fournier is not good. We're playing the young guys, and it's been fun. Let's keep it up, Knicks. But again, that's my show. That's probably it for 2022. Next time we're back, I mean, I'm going to be away all of next week regardless. It's vacation. I'll be on vacation. I'm sure a lot of other people will be on vacation, not really listening. They're not working, doing their own thing. So I won't be there to recap the Vikings game. I probably will. So I'll be back after the new year. By then, hopefully, the Giants have lots of a playoff spot. We'll have a much clearer picture of things going into the final week of the NFL season. Again, everyone's. I know this year has been a little on and off with it, and we're starting this YouTube thing. I want to continue to do more for the podcast come 2023. So for all you guys in this year, in the last year, thank you for supporting the podcast. Go follow the Bird's Eye View podcast on Instagram for all my latest episode releases. Go follow Jay Bird's Eye View on Twitter for all my latest episode releases along with live reactions to games. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.